Hey there, it's Jen. Earlier this month, I showed you guys this new program from Close to My Heart that has, they have a monthly kit and you can subscribe to it in different ways. You can subscribe to it month by month, quarterly, or yearly, and it's different costs. I'll leave a link in the video description for you to check that out. But I'll also leave a link to the video where I talked about all of that. But today what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of the layouts from the September kit, and this is the Love Story layout kit, and I'm going to create two single page layouts with these supplies. So basically what I have here is two pattern papers, and they're meant to go, let's see, like this and spread across two pages so that you can make a double page layout. But like I mentioned, I'm going to make two single page layouts. These are the photo mats for this layout. So there's a 4x6 and three 3x4s. And then there's also die cuts and stickers. So it tells you, this is actually layout 2. So the die cuts that are supposed to go with this one are these, and the stickers are these ones. But I'm just going to ignore that and use whatever I feel like I need to use. And then for the first layout, I'm going to use these two pictures of me and my daughter, which we're wearing pink and blue, but the colors don't match exactly, but I think it's good enough and it will coordinate. It doesn't exactly match, but it coordinates. And then for the second layout, I'm going to use these two photos of my nephew when he broke his leg. And I am going to obviously not take it in a pink colorway. I'm going to use this page that barely has any pink on it. I'm going to just switch it up a lot. And I've also pulled some products from my stash to use to incorporate onto these layouts as well. So I have just the part of the boutique collection from Close to My Heart, which I think will match this paper really well. And there's some, these are like the embellishments. And then I have a few stamp sets, some alphabets in case I want to supplement a title. I'm going to use this floral stamp. This is called Bunches of Love. I just love this. This is a card stamp set really, but you could use the florals for layouts or for anything. I think you could use this whole set for anything. But anyway, that's what I'm going to go ahead and use for that. And then I have a few stamp sets, and then I have a few stickers, and then I'm pulling some stuff from my stash as well that is kind of a boyish theme. I'm going to switch up the colors to make it more blue and green. And I have this stuff from Pink Fresh Studio that I'm going to try to incorporate from the Escape the Ordinary and the Boys Fort collections on this page about my nephew. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'll put you on fast forward. We're going to start with the layout about me and Mal.
All right, so I'm going to start by matting my photos, and I decided to use the photo mats that came with the kit, and it's got kind of just a linen texture and it's a soft gray. And so I'm just putting both of my 3x4 photos on there. I usually like to put a white border around my photos, especially if it's going on a patterned background. And I like the way that this paper, where all of those lines meet, that makes a good home for your photos. And I'm kind of using the first page of this two-page layout as inspiration for where to place things. So they have one 4x6 photo on the left with the title above it. And so I'm putting my two 3x4 photos where that 4x6 photo would go. And I like the you and me. It works for the photos that I chose, but I feel like the color, the pink color, is not quite what I want. I want something a little bit more toned toward, like a little bit darker or more peachy or something. And so what I decided to do is pull out my ink swatches. I just have them all stamped out in a book here. I'm also pulling out my Close to My Heart little Teflon sheet here. I don't remember what it's called, a non-stick sheet. I like that one because it has like a rubbery background, so it sticks down to the surface of your table. Anyway, I'm using some peach ink and Tim Holtz Distress Ink sponge dauber thingy to apply some ink to those letters or to those word stickers, and it's getting closer to what I want, but I feel like it's a little bit fluorescent now. So I'm going to go in with a little bit of this is pomegranate ink, which is a dark red, and I'm kind of making them ombre looking. And I like the way that looks, but still I'm thinking it's a little bit too bright. So here's what I'm going to do to combat the brightness. I am adding some Distress ink in, I think this is milled lavender or something. I'll link to all of the available supplies in the video description, but it just gives it a more of a blue tone than a fluorescent tone, and it was just what I needed to kind of calm it down. And so I get that done, and I'm actually really happy with the way that those turned out. So yay. And there is the word "and" that goes with this, you and me, but it's not an ampersand, and I felt like the word "and" would be too long, and I didn't know where I wanted to put it. It wouldn't fit on top of the photos, it wouldn't fit on the bottom, and in the middle I feel like it would look weird, so I don't know. I punched out these little strips from the die cut sheet that comes with the kit, and I'm thinking about using those scallops next to my photos. Now this kit comes with some floral stickers that are meant to go with this layout, and you could definitely use those, but I really wanted to use this stamp set. It has a really cute floral image with some kind of, it's like an imperfect watercolory look when you stamp it out, which I loved. And so I'm going to go that route because I wanted to play with that stamp set, but you could definitely use the floral stickers that come with the kit, you know. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp it in gray. So I think I'm using Heather ink to stamp it. And for whatever reason, my surface wasn't flat. I should have moved everything off my desk and put this on a flat surface because I was having issues getting that to stamp properly, but it was my bad for not moving things off of my desk. So anyway, the good thing about the stamp platform is I can stamp it as many times as I need to, and I did. So I'm stamping it twice, and it's a good idea if you're going to stamp the same thing multiple times, you can stamp it on the same paper and just rotate your paper so that you don't have to move the stamp at all. You can leave the stamp in the same position for both to do both images. So I'm laying down the little floral image here, and this threw me off at first. I know that it's not supposed to fill the entire flower. It's supposed to be like kind of a messy little look, but it threw me for a minute. So if you have this stamp set, just be sure to just try it a few times. You got to go with the flow and let it just do what it's going to do. It's not going to stay inside the lines completely. It's not meant to. It's just kind of a free form stamp that you're going to just let it do what it does. So what I'm trying to do here is get the color of the background paper, so kind of that mauve color almost. And so I'm stamping peach and sugar plum together to try to overlap those two colors to get the right color. And I end up, this particular flower that I'm stamping isn't connected to the bunch, and I end up just cutting it off because I just wasn't happy with the way that it turned out. So I don't know. I did stamp that big flower in Sugar Plum, which is their new color for this year, and it's really a pretty color. I love it. So now I think I'm going to move on to some of the, I'm doing some of the flowers, and I'm going to do those in yellow, and I'm using Canary ink from Close to My Heart, and I can stamp 2 at a time. So I've got 2 going, and it just makes it really quick and easy. And now I'm going to stamp this last one. They all use the same stamp, even though the flowers are a little bit differently sized and stuff. That's just the beauty of this stamp set. It looks really artsy and freeform. So I just have to keep reminding myself, so I'm reminding you too. I'm using some sage ink, and it is a nice, like, soft bluey green, like sage, to stamp the leaves. And I really love that color. It's really pretty. Here I'm going to do both sets of the larger leaves, and again using that sage color. And it leaves some spaces, so it kind of looks like you messily painted it in, and I really like it. So there's some little berries, and I'm going to stamp those in blue. I wanted just kind of a contrasting color, and I also wanted to remember that there was navy on the background of my patterned paper, so I wanted to bring that blue in somewhere. Now if you're looking at these flowers thinking those don't match that paper, well, they don't exactly, but you'll see how it comes together in the end. It does work out nicely, I think. So I'm using Sapphire ink here, and I love the way that turned out. So now what I'll do is I will fussy cut those flowers out, just using my precision tip scissors there from Close to My Heart. They're called something else. I can't remember right now, but I'm playing around with the photos now, just kind of deciding, yes, this is where they're going to go. Yes, this is where the title's going to go. I want the title to overlap on both photos. And so I'm just going to move it around until it looks how I want it to. The Y dips down perfectly with the side of my head. And then the me, I'll just kind of tuck up in there. And I'm still thinking I might want to use those ruffled or those scalloped pieces. And here are the florals. So you can see right now they don't exactly match, but they're going to look like they just go with it. And you'll see as I add more things to the layout how it just kind of comes together. And I think it looks really nice. So what I want to do now is do my and what I decided was that I wanted to make it look like the flowers, where it's the outline and then it's kind of got a messy fill. And so I'm using this stamp set, and I can't remember what it's called right now, but I will link to it in the video description. But it has an outline version and a solid version, and I'm going to stamp it so that the outline is not completely lined up with the solid, and that's going to make it kind of fit that feel of those flowers. And I'll just cut that out, and that will be my ampersand, and I can rest it right there on the top right side of the bottom photo. And I really like the way that looks. And then after I place that there, I'm loving it, and I move my floral around so it kind of, you can see those two leaves come down and the ampersand will fit right in there. I love when things nestle together like that, so I was really happy with that. I'm cutting out the centers of the ampersand. You could leave them in if you wanted to. You could use a craft knife. I kind of botched this just a little bit. It's a little bit messy, but it will end up looking fine. And I'm going to kind of sand, this is like a little sanding stick, sand the edges a little bit so they look a little less jagged. But yeah, I really like the way that looks. So I'm going to pop up these flowers on some thin foam circles that are also from Close to My Heart, and I'm putting a lot on there. I don't want anything to bend or bow over time, and so I'm just piling them on because that's how I do it. And I'm leaving a few little spaces where I don't put them on the edges, so just so I can like kind of pull the leaves up a little bit. But for the most part, I'm covering the entire back of those. I'm not going to make you watch me peel off all of the little papers, but you can see I'm putting it on here, and I'm just kind of making it rest right in the photos. They're overlapping slightly. If you don't like things to overlap your photos, you can definitely tuck them under. I know some people don't particularly like that, but I really love it. And there you can see my title and my floral clusters. They're looking great. I'm loving it. And what I decide to do now is to add a little bit more to my title. So it says you and me, but I want to make it a little bit more personalized. And that's one of the reasons why I like personalizing this kit, is so that you can add your own flair. It comes with a generic title, but you can make it less generic by just adding a few stamps. So I'm going to do Silly You and Funny Me for my title, because this is a silly photo of us on the top, and I'm in the journaling, I'm going to talk about how people say that we look alike, but I never see it, but we make the same kind of faces, and you can kind of see it in that photo on the top there. So that's what I'm going to go with. Now I'm testing my Colonial White pigment ink to see if it will work on that dark blue. Because I'm kind of wanting to do like the opposite effect. So on the top I have gray and I stamped blue on it. So on the bottom I have blue and I want to stamp white on it. But I didn't like the Colonial White, so I'm using some Versamat ink and I'm stamping out the word funny, and I'm going to white heat emboss that. So I'm just going to pour on some white embossing powder and then heat set that. And I really love the way this turns out. I love how they're kind of opposites. I would definitely do that again, where one part of the page, it's like the inverse colors kind of. So I was happy with that. It did warp my paper a little bit, so I should have thought about it before I put everything else on, but I didn't. So, you just roll with the flow. And so now what I can do is start thinking about how I want to finish this off. So I really love the journaling stickers here. These are matte, and so they're really easy to write on. and I don't have to cut up strips. I can just lay them down and then write my journaling on them, and it works perfectly, and I love that. So I'm going to use a gray pen, and I'm going to write this out. So the gray, since I stamped in gray and I didn't have any black on the layout, I wanted to keep it with the gray, so that's why I decided to write in gray. And I just wrote what I talked about before, where I said that we people say we look alike, and I never see it until I look at our faces. We have the same faces. So now I'm going to put on the butterflies. So some of these are stickers and some of them are die cuts, and I'm just putting a little bit of that thin foam adhesive on the wings and then pushing down the center so it looks like the butterflies are fluttering. So you can see I'm just putting those glue dots, or not glue dots, pop dots on the edges and then pushing the center of the butterfly down. And I will end up using 5 of these butterflies. So one at the top, and then it kind of draws your eye down to the ampersand with that bigger butterfly, and then over to the other flowers on the left, and then down to the journaling at the bottom. And I really like the way that looks. So here I'm thinking, okay, this is very left heavy, which I like, and that is fine, but I thought it would be nice to have just a little something to balance it over on the right. And so I thought it might be cute to layer up these little scalloped pieces that are meant to be kind of like borders on photos in the layout examples, but I thought it could just be a fun like little, hey, there's something interesting going on over here on the right. So that's what I decided to do, is just layer those up there. And then after I did that, I kind of had a different idea, and I really love the way it turned out. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pull this off, and I'm going to rip my paper. This is something I've done a lot lately, is just have like little peekaboo effect going on, but usually I just put a different pattern paper behind it. I really like the way that it looks with those layered scallop pieces behind it. And so what I'm just doing is gluing those together and then making sure that it will fit behind that rip that I created. And so I'm just kind of adjusting them until they fill the space. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm just making sure it's all good on the back. And then I will put a piece of paper, the piece of paper I ripped off, actually, I'm going to glue it over the top of it just so it has a little bit more stability. So there you can see that. And then I'm going to ruffle up the scallops so that you can actually see them. And I love just that little bit of dimension. And I'm also going to kind of roll back the area where I ripped too. So it just gives it a little something extra. And I really, really like the way that it doesn't, like, it draws your eye a little bit and it just balances everything on the left, but it's not too overpowering, because when you do a whole bunch of something on the page, it's nice to keep it all in one area. Oh, you can see that ampersand there on that sticker sheet. I totally could have used that instead of having to cut out that one, but I didn't see it until after, so it's all good. I'm using this little border strip that's from the stickers in the boutique collection, and I'm just adding a little hint of yellow on either side of the photos, so one on the top left and one on the bottom right. And I like that just little pop of yellow. And now I'm trying to decide if there's anything else I need to add. On that same floral stamp set, there are like 3, maybe it's 2, little like kind of painty dots that you can stamp. So it's kind of like splatters, but you don't have to splatter it. It's really nice. This stamp set is my favorite from them, and I really love this stamp set. And I can't wait to use it again, actually. So I definitely, if you are a stamper, if you like stamping, or if you want to try stamping, you should try that stamp set because it's really cute. Okay, so I stamped around all of my embellishments, and I'm also thinking about using this stamp set. I can't remember what it's called. I don't end up using it, so I'll link to it in another video when I do end up using it, but I think it's I'd pick you or something like that. I'm also thinking about using this little peach piece that was from the die cuts, but I don't end up using it, so I'll save it for another layout. There are these little tape pieces that are gray, but I'm going to use that on my second layout about my nephews, so I save those. I do use some little hearts, and I'm just adding those here. I'm going to stamp a heart in gray, and then after I did that, I decided, you know, I should stamp a few more of these hearts. And I'm also going to use the white heart stickers, so there will be just a few hearts kind of scattered around the layout. So there's the other white one down at the bottom, and then I'm going to stamp a few gray ones around the embellishments that I've kind of created, the embellishment clusters. So I'll stamp one on the blue, and I like how on the blue you do see the stamping, but it kind of fades into the paper, so it almost looks like it was printed on there. I really like it. I'm adding a few little word stickers here that are from the sticker sheet from the kit, and I think that they're pretty cute. I'm tucking some of them underneath and layering some over the top, making sure all of the edges kind of zigzag back and forth. I don't want them to all line up. And I'm going to stamp another heart below that. Oh no, I stamped splatter. And then that's pretty much going to finish this. I'm going to stamp the date up by those on the right hand side with those hearts, just with that gray ink again, and that's going to finish this. So I hope that you've enjoyed. Check out my next video for the layout about the boys. I split them up because they ended up a little bit longer than I thought they would, but here are some close-up photos, and I hope that I've given you some ideas on ways that you can use this kit or these other products in your next project. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you again very soon.